Hello, in this video we're going to start working with text within Illustrator. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new document because this is also going to be a document that we're going to be submitting for our assignment number 5. So what I'm going to do is I'm here in the Illustrator home page. I'm going to go ahead and create, so I'm going to select a new preset, more presets. And I'm going to go ahead and this time I'm going to create something specifically for my document. Instead of using one of these different presets, I'm going to go ahead and select, I'm going to input my values. I'm going to go, I want to make sure that my unit of measure is already set to inches. I can change this to 8 by 8 inches. So this will create a squared artboard. So the orientation is not going to matter. I'm going to go ahead and tell it to create. And here we have my artboard. So what I want to do, I'm just going to clear some of these different menus. I am using the Essential Classics menu space. And I want to go over creating type within Illustrator. Now, creating type within Illustrator, for the most part, it's similar to creating type within Photoshop. So I want to focus on some of the tools that are specific to Illustrator. So I'm going to go ahead and switch to my type tool here, but I do want to point out that there are different types of type that we're going to be working on. Within these videos, we're only going to be focusing on the type tool. Later on in the next video, we're going to be going over what's called the touch type tool. So I'm going to go ahead and tear off this menu item so that we have all our different type tools here. And what I want to point out right now with the type tool, up on top, we have our some options. The option that's really going to have influence at the beginning is our alignment. Right now my alignment is to the left. With your type tool, I'm just going to click anywhere within my artboard. Click. By default, it puts some text here. The lorem ipsum. If you know about font, this was just some font that was created back in the old time when the printing press was created. This font style, it's a combination of random letters of vowels and consonants that are used to create the idea of text. But they're not words. So you'll see this reference sometimes. So what I want to do, I'm going to go ahead and type in some words. Say, for example, the assignment has you working with your name, so I'll go ahead and work with my name. I'm going to type in Aldo Figueroa. So right now it's the most basic of basic fonts, but that's okay. What I want to do, now notice with this tool is that if we press enter or return, it goes to the next line. I'm going to press backspace or delete to go back. So for this one, you either have to finish the creation, but notice that there is no checkbox to say that we are done. Instead, I want to either press, if you have a number key, the enter key. Actually, this doesn't do it. I'm just going to switch my tool to my selection tool, and that finishes my selection right here. One of the things that we're able to do with my selection tool is if I click on it, I'm able to interactively make my text larger. So we are able to do that, but what I want to do, I want to instead focus on my actual type. So what I want to do, my type panel is not displayed here. I'm going to go under Window, and under towards the bottom there's a type option, and I'm going to go into Character. This opens up the Character panel, and within here I made this larger so that by doing so it is interactively changing some of these different options. For example, the font size has been changed, as well as the leading size has been changed as well. So we could squish this in, we could expand it, so on and so forth. So what I want to do, I want to change my font. So any font that you have selected on your machine will be displayed. So what I want want you to do, you see like I have this really cool graffiti font, but I want you to select a font, any font. Maybe I want something that's bold, or maybe I want something that's going to be more stylistic. Because I'm going to show you different things that we're going to be able to do with our font. Some fonts that I have right here are fonts that I've downloaded previously. What you're also able to do if you want to download and install more fonts, notice within Illustrator, within here where it says fonts and then find more. If you click on this, and if you're logged in to the internet, it will connect you to Adobe Fonts. So right here you have access to the different Adobe fonts. You can see this, like I believe this one, oh, wasn't this one? I've installed some of these fonts previously. And what you'll find is that it will have this little download icon to activate. So if you see a font that you like in here, maybe I like this one right here, this adhesive NR7 regular. Here, no, I don't want that one. But you're able to go through these different fonts if you want one of these. Maybe I like this handwritten font. I believe I used this one previously, yes, the Adorn Condensed font. I already went ahead, and you can see it has a little check mark. So that one's already installed. So this is one way you could further install some fonts that are on this machine. Maybe I like this one. I'm going to go ahead and click on this one. This is Adorn Bouquet Regular. I'm going to activate it. It wants to know, do you want to activate it? Okay. And when I go to my fonts, I go ahead and look for this one. They are alphabetical. Let me go back to my fonts. Adorn Bouquet. Oh, you know what? It's not selected. You see how this is not selected? I can either click on it, it's now selected, or if you go into your layers, layer 1, I'm going to click on this one right here, and to select something within your layers, if you're doing this is highlighting this layer, it's not selecting it. To select something within Illustrator, you have to click on this little circle, the target. This selects that object. With this one selected, now I could go back to my character panel. I could go to Adorn Bouquet, select it, and it's selected. But what I want to do is I want to go ahead and go over a couple of different settings. I'm going to go switch back to my type tool. Now notice that right here I have the little rectangle around my cursor, but if I go closer to my type, that rectangle disappears. This means that I could edit this font. I'm going to go in here and put this along 2 rows. What I want to do now, say for example, the spacing between these 2 rows, I want to minimize it. I'm going to switch back to my selection tool. And this is where the options within the character panel come into place. Well, right here under the leading, there's a drop down, so I could change this. So maybe I wanted to overlap. 72 is not enough, so I'm going to click on this little arrow until I get something that is a little bit more that I prefer. Now, if I want to really move these individually, we could do that using, I could either separate these as 2 different fonts or 2 different tools. Like say for example, okay, maybe I want to do something like this. I'm going to duplicate this one. To duplicate this layer, I'm just going to click and drag this layer. Similar to in Photoshop, I'm going to drop it into this little icon. This is the duplicate. So I have 2 copies. I can move one off to the side. One thing that I could do is I could always rescale these. I could also rotate them as well, and they're still editable fonts. I'm going to undo that rotate. But what I want to do for this one, I want to go back to my type tool and say I'm just going to select this font. I'm going to go ahead and just tell it edit and cut. I'm going to delete that space. And what I'm going to do, because I want the same style, I could always go back to my type tool, click here, I can select this and paste it, edit, paste. So I'm pasting this one onto the new one. And these are separate. So I could potentially move these around. So say, for example, what if I want something that looks like this so that they kind of fit with one another. And notice that within Illustrator, you're able to select your font interactively within your document. This one right here, they're both on uh, two rows. These are two separate. Maybe I want Aldo to be a lot larger, so I'm going to scale this up. Let's see, do I want it still rotated? Or maybe I want the Figueroa to be smaller. So this is one way that you could change this one, or you could always change, now that I have these separate, by having them separated, if I make changes to one, they do not affect the other ones. So say for example, I go to a different style, I'll go to this one right here. These are two different fonts. Options that are available. In here, there's also some more options that are hidden under this character panel. If we right mouse click on the top right hand corner right here, these little three lines, and I can tell it to show options, we have some more options that are being displayed. Like say for example, let me change my font to, let's go to, I want like a block letter. Here we go, we'll change this one right here. Say for example, what if I want all these letters to be all caps? There is this option right here where change it to all caps, where I didn't type in all caps. Or what if I want them, the first letter to be a larger letter, but everything else is going to be all caps but smaller. You have these types of options that are available. So maybe I want this one to say Figueroa. And maybe I want to put them right next to each other. Maybe this one I'm going to go ahead and change as well. So trying to find a font that I like. I could keep them all the same. What if I want this one to be all cap? Here, maybe I want to do something like this. I want to go ahead and select this one, and I'm going to move this off to the side. I could either try to squish this in. I could do something like this. You can see how different ways that you could work with your type. I also want to point out that if I select one of these, to change the color is right now it's set to black. I could either go over here on the far left hand side to change the fill, or I could change it up here on top. Say, what if I want to use blue? What if I want each letter to be a different color? You could do that as well using your type tool. You're going to have to select each letter individually. Say maybe I want this one to be purple. This one I want it to be this magenta. And this one I want it to be, let's see, what's the next color? Do I want red? Sure. So we have different colors. We could do that. You could also say, for example, I'm going to switch back to this example of Aldo Figueroa using my type tool. Kind of like what you would do on a Word document where you want to change just one aspect. You could highlight it and say only this one's selected, and I want to change maybe the font. I want to change the color. I want to change something specific to this one. You could do that. You could change each one individually. But once you do something like that, notice that these are both selected. For the font, it's not going to list the font because you have two different fonts. The same with this one in regards to color. You'll see that it has this little question mark because I have different colors selected. You could always override what you had there before by saying, okay, I want all these to be the same color. And now there are. This one, for example, I want to maybe change the font And you can see how you are able to change everything all over. So you have lots of different functionality and availability to change these different things. So right now we're just changing some of the basic attributes that you have with your type. We are going to go over another tool that's going to be that allows you to further manipulate your type. But for right now, I want you to take some time and experiment with the different tools that are available with your type. So I look forward to seeing you in the next video, and I'll see you there.